Yo, when I spit bars in a rave, man, I go hard like Santan.
Good evening. Welcome to another live stream from New Spurs Order, another podcast. I'll be your host today, X-Pac. Okay, Owen, I haven't been here for a few weeks, but yeah, these are dark times. I thought I'd try and show face, and I'm joined today by none other than Booker T himself. How are you doing, sir?
Yeah, I'm good, bro. Good, bro. Always good to be on the pod. Always good to have you on here as well. It's been a minute since you've been on. Nice prime period for you to give your hot takes on the current state at the lane.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, touching upon that, we thought we'd probably end up going into this in quite good spirits. We had the game on the weekend, away at Man City, which, according to last week's pod, no one was really too optimistic about. Everyone thought we were going to get packed in. But sure enough, we put in a really good performance after some slight tweaks from Conte. And not only that, we came away with a last-minute win after actually conceding the equaliser in the 90th minute as well. So credit bravery and props to Spurs just for that win. And then we kind of have that as a momentum shift going into the midweek game, which we've just played. Let's see, Tobes covered the Man City game on the main podcast earlier on this week. So we're just going to pretty much skip over it due to the events which transpired yesterday at the time of recording. So we've got to get into it, haven't we?
Yeah, man.
Tops, I guess initially, what did you think of the lineup and what were your expectations going into our game away at Burnley?
I mean, the lineup, I assumed it was always going to be an unchanged team. I felt like the confidence from the team. Winning away at City was always going to be a reason for him to just keep the same 11 bods in the lineup. Even though Burnley's a difficult one away from home in the league. They're not doing too well in terms of their position and how they perform this season. But again, you perform like that against City, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to perform to a similar vein against one of the poorer teams in the league. But I was probably asking for too much.
You think? I mean, yeah, you would think after you've beaten one of the best teams in Europe, arguably best team in the league, that you could go away to Burnley, who are in the relegation zone, albeit with it being a hard game for us usually and traditionally. The weather not so great. The weather actually probably reflected the streams we had to watch the game on because the game wasn't live. I think it was originally a 3:00 kickoff when it got postponed. Then moving today, no one picked up the rights for it. Fair enough. It was ironic because we were all quite happy that the game got postponed on the day because we had a lot of injuries and we didn't really fancy our chances even then. So, with the additions in January coming off the back of a win against Man City, spirits probably couldn't have been higher. Now moving on to the first half. How did you break that down? It was a bit of a drab first half. You didn't even need a good stream to kind of see what happened.
Yeah, the first half wasn't a great one. I kind of felt that it was a bit bitty. I felt that there were moments where we were popping it around, trying to keep the ball. In moments where we weren't really controlling, we were almost kind of breaking the lines, and then as we broke some of the lines, like sometimes we were able to try and catch them out. But again, Burnley being a proper Brexit team, 4-4-2, 2 banks of 4, very happy to sit in and make it very difficult for us to play. And then when they've got the chance, they kind of give and go, and they're hard runners, hard tacklers. And really, to be honest with you, there weren't that many chances in the game in the first half. And there was a moment at the end where Son probably should have, if he had made his decision quickly or quicker, could have easily played in Kane for at least a shot on target before the first half. But again, the first half was really 50-50. I felt like we had probably the lion's share of the possession. I felt like we looked a bit brighter than them. But again, there was nothing clear cut really in that first half.
No, you're right. We looked like we had a marginally more possession. I didn't even see the stats because it looked like for quite long spells we were coming under pressure from Burnley quite a lot as well. Like I felt like they were shutting off Kane quite well. I
Yeah.
think the blueprint is there for lesser teams, or I guess teams that were expected to beat. Their blueprint is there to play against us. Where if you just shut off Kane and force us wide, which they did very well, particularly in the first half, then really and truly we can't really do much about it. If they force us wide, obviously we were lacking a lot in wing back quality. Obviously, Conte's system relies a lot on that. Emerson, all of his nicknames being touched upon now, remains true to those nicknames. Sessegnon,
the less said about him, the better, man. I don't know. Man. I want to give this guy some sort of reprieve, but the more and more this guy plays, the more and more he's like showing me that he's not even ready for this level, man. I don't know.
No,
like,
I have to agree.
I just feel like when we saw him at Fulham, right? Fine, he was in a team that was not amazing. They just come up and they were kind of playing as free as they could. But he was one of the bright sparks, an attacking left winger, a bright spark who was a very good assister and very good goal scorer at the time as well. We paid for him, and obviously he's been lumbered with horrible injuries. Fine, but I don't know. Just he went on loan. I watched him when he was on loan away, and I thought he was starting to build a bit more confidence. He looked like he was ready again. He came back to Spurs, picked more injuries, and I don't know. Like I've said it in the group as well. Like I look at him, and that looks to me like a skeleton of a man who used to like be confident in like his ability, but also in his body, man. And I just
confidence is his main thing, or you just don't think he has.
I feel like, I mean, I feel like if you've got to this level, you can't be terrible. And you've played, two different teams, and you've done like quite well, especially at one of those teams. But I just look at him now, and like even like when you look at his demeanor when he's come off and stuff, or when he's been subbed, just looks like he's really in like a low sort of place mentally right now, and like he's not being backed up by his physical ability. He's not doing the hard running that I kind of know him to be doing. I've not seen him deliver a accurate cross in God knows how long, and there's like 2 or 3 moments per games when he's playing. I'm seeing him getting to areas where he could shoot or even get a shot off, and he's just not doing it.
I feel like I agree with all those points, to be honest. I feel like his performance yesterday, in particular, kind of epitomized our one. Like there was just no bravery there, particularly from Cess, to kind of get in the positions he can somewhat be threatening. In terms of attacking space in behind, in particular, you didn't really see it that much. There was a few times, I guess, we're out of sync with him as well. So there was a few times where he actually got into a good position. He put in one really good ball across the box, and there was just no one there at the front post to attack it, and there was just this one defender from Burnley just standing on the edge of the 6-yard box to sweep it up. Like we had, as a team, opened Burnley up, particularly in the second half. I felt on a number of occasions, particularly down that right, but there was just no one really incisive or decisive enough with the final ball. There was no bravery to attack space or do anything. But yeah, obviously the first half, pretty much covering that. We had Bentancur come off at halftime due to a nasty injury, which was partly caused by him getting spun quite badly
Yeah,
on
he
the
did.
halfway line. I don't know who done it, but
It was
that was a bit rough.
it was Josh Brownhill
Brownhill.
who had a decent game. To be fair, I mean,
Yeah, he did.
he had a decent
He
game.
did for play. Yeah, Bentancur subsequently had to go off after doing the splits, and Harry Winks came on. Pro Winks agenda aside,
Yeah,
coming on the second half, I felt like he helped us control the middle of the park a bit better in the second half.
yeah.
Obviously, it's something we didn't necessarily have that much control over, if at all, in the first.
No,
Um,
we didn't really in the first half, and like it's like with a player like Bentancur, I feel like you get two sides of him. You get like a very good technical side, but he's also sometimes it feels like he's kind of a high risk sort of player in like the way he takes the ball and the positions that he takes up as well. So you find that if it pays off, it pays off really well. But if it doesn't, you could leave yourself in a bit of trouble. Whereas with Winks, you have someone who's a bit more stable in his positioning and also where he's happy or comfortable to take the ball. So I felt like that kind of helped in the second half. But then again, like the one thing that the one feel that I just feel at the moment with our midfield is that often in there, it seems like teams are kind of I feel like teams are kind of cottoning on to the fact that if you get in and amongst just a two-man midfield, you pretty much give yourself a chance every time against us. Like even the way that McNeil was playing yesterday, they had Lennon on the flank, and he was really causing some problems for Davies and Sessman when he could. But the way that they had Cork, Brownhill, and McNeil, it was almost as if like they always had an extra man in there, and then that's why they were able to do nice little triangles and pick out pockets of space to get the ball to Veghurst, who again he was actually quite well. He wasn't good, but he just caused a few problems yesterday.
Yeah, I wanted Weghorst. It's a shame, especially for that price. It is worth noting as well, like you said, Aaron Lennon played because obviously, arguably their biggest threat in Maxwell Cornet was actually unavailable. So
Yeah,
that's making the game on paper more winnable. But again,
you know,
we lost. We get into
we
that.
lost. Of
So
course we
up
did.
from the second half, up to I guess in and around the time that they scored, how did you feel the game was going in your mind? Obviously, we did make a few tactical tweaks.
Up to that point, I thought the game was a precarious sort of game at that point because I feel like we had a lot of the possession. I mean, in the end, I think the second half. Let me just check. In the second half, possession-wise, we had 69% of the ball. But again, that possession really didn't really do any damage. In the end, Burnley had 10 shots to our 9. They had three shots on target. We had 2. Um, I just felt like they were very clever in the way that they stopped Kane, and then we were getting our players into good areas. Well, our fullbacks into good areas, but again, um, we weren't really getting anything from. I mean, arguably Kulusevski did okay, but really wasn't a threat really. And then Emerson and Cess really didn't offer us that much from the flanks as well. So in the end, I always kind of felt the game was always going to be won by a goal or maybe a 1-goal margin. And again, set pieces is where that's their bag.
Of course, obviously we went close a couple of times. I know Kane hit the bar.
Hit the bar.
I'm trying to think of the chance we had, which we hit the post. Again, my stream was grainy as hell. Like I must have tried about 8 or 9, genuinely 8 or 9 different streams. So yeah, there's pockets of game missed, but for sure, from my perspective, the tweaks we made. Obviously, Winks had to come on by force. Obviously Romero, as the game went on throughout the first half, he was just pushing up further and further. I felt like
Yeah,
that made up the numbers in the middle to allow us more control because it didn't look like we feared the counter threat from Burnley that much, which which I think was validated from the first half, because I didn't really feel threatened by Burnley. Like, yeah, they have waves of really good pressure, to be fair, but they didn't really create anything. And to be honest, I thought we actually defended really well in the first half.
Yeah,
So Romero, obviously, just trying to make up the superiority numbers in the middle, was helping us create some openings and obviously keeping control. Obviously, we took off Emerson and then moved Kulusevski to right wing back, and then Lucas Moura went up top, which I thought was a good tweak, only in the sense of Kulusevski actually looking like a threat at right wing back. Or effectively, it would have been right wing, right? But we just had so much possession. Kulusevski could just stay high up on the right. He looked like our most threatening player, in my opinion. And the amount of space he was getting looked like it was working. Of course, unfortunately, Lucas Moura couldn't capitalize on the space he had. He done fuck all, to be honest. But I appreciate that tweak from Conte. I thought it was positive. But then it felt like only soon after that, when we were really, really in the ascendancy, really starting to kind of get into a rhythm and be braver, is obviously when we conceded a free kick on our left-hand side. Was it Sessegnon that conceded the free kick as well?
It was Cess, yeah. It was a bit of a, again, don't know, man, just very silly. These sort of fouls are kind of avoidable because, and the reason I say they're really quite frustrating is because you know, first of all, that this is a team who's very good at set pieces. So you're going to try and eliminate the opportunity for set pieces. You know that we're not great at defending set pieces. Is that a Wolves goal?
It is a Wolves goal. I noticed you pause as that went in. Unfortunately, I wish we were recording this at a slightly later time, because by the time we finished, we might have been able to replicate what Touchy Gooners did yesterday. Like, fair play to them. I think it went live pretty much immediately after our loss.
Yeah, they did, yeah. Yeah, so I was saying, so you know, it was an avoidable really situation, because we know that they're good at set pieces. We're not very good at set pieces, and you know, in a game as precarious as it was, you don't really want to give them any opportunity. You know, so you could arguably call that even
Agreed.
a mistake. I could arguably call it a mistake. You know, so all this sort of stuff. I know people say, you know, it's a free kick. We need to defend the free kick. Again, you don't have to defend a free kick if there isn't a free kick to give away.
Before our ops get there as well, unfortunately, yes, Romero did get dunked
And
on
yes,
quite badly at the back
he got
post.
dunked on as well. Like, he got properly dunked. I mean, and what pissed me off about that is that I don't even, when I watched part of the game back this morning, he didn't even look like he knew that Ben Mee was behind him.
No, I think he looked and saw him there a couple of times and just kind of hoped that the ball didn't quite go as far to the back post, and he could just then make up for it by trying to put him off. And like he got really close to him, to be fair, in the end, so jumped pretty much right up with him. But Ben Mee was just there first.
He got
Like,
properly.
he knows his set pieces.
Yeah,
So,
he does. He does. I mean, that's it's a frustrating one. And in the end, we kind of just petered out. I mean,
we huffed and puffed, didn't we? I see Bergwijn came on, effectively left wing back, left wing, whatever it is. He came on the left hand side for Sessegnon, and we pretty much just overloaded the attack and huffed and puffed to no avail. To be honest, like, did you at all even feel like we would even get a goal?
Well, no. You know, in the last couple of weeks, I kind of felt that we've kind of been going a bit harder in the last sort of 5-10 minutes and giving ourselves like an opportunity to score goals. But again, like a team like Burnley, who are very happy to sit in, very well coached in their structure, it just looked like it wasn't going to happen. And you know what, like in games like that as well, you know, I hate to say stuff like this, but it's games like that I just feel that, like you said, we just need someone who is happily creative to take a risk to try and open them up. You know, like it's all very good being like a functional sort of a team under Conte, where we use our automation and we use our fluidity in the front. Is that 2-0? Bloody hell.
No,
Bloody hell.
fluffed it.
Where we use our
CTE.
automation in defense and our fluidity up top to create and score goals and create chances. But games like that, you just need someone who's happy to take it in between the lines, who's comfortable to turn the defense or midfield the other way and just open them up, And I just feel like at the moment, maybe that's a kind of player that we're missing. But again, yeah, like as the game came to a close, it just didn't look like there were going to be any late bits of drama on our front, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean those creativity issues don't look like there's going to be a solution to those, especially from the middle of the park until the summer minimum. So
absolutely,
this is going to something we're going to get used to. Obviously, we seem to set up in a way where we're much better at playing teams that come onto us.
Yeah, it's a very strange one, isn't it? Like
it's insane. Obviously, following on from that, I saw a weird so we haven't won a game within 90 minutes since December in the league either. So it kind of shows how unproactive we have been. I think playing in this way does play to our strengths, but honestly, we just haven't been brave enough, to be honest.
Yeah. It definitely feels that way.
Which is a shame. So obviously, we were all obviously very dejected and frustrated afterwards. Especially the fans that travelled to the game. 4-hour train journey, I'm hearing, which is a bit mad.
Shout out, brother Tobes, doing the Lord's work.
He's been local in the trenches. Fair play. Reflected in our manager, Antonio, at the end of the game. Unless you're living under a rock, you would have seen his comments as to say, Spurs have to maybe consider my position. Maybe I'm not as good as they thought, but I want to help Spurs. One of his quotes seemed to, I guess, point towards the players. He says he's open to every decision. He's too honest. He's too honest to close his eyes and continue in this way and take his salary. Another quote, just to reel it off quickly. Obviously, I know it was probably me and you who were probably one of the most vocal in the group chat following Conte's comments. The other one of which, more pointedly, the players are always the same. The club changes the coaches. The players are the same, but the result doesn't change. I'm too honest to accept this situation. He's an honest guy. He's a nice guy.
Yeah, he is. He's an honest guy. He's an Italian man. He's gonna say how he feels. He's gonna let him know straight out off the bat exactly. And I don't know how did you take it? How did you take it?
Oh God! All right. I'd say that it was like he's obviously frustrated in the moment. We were pre-warned about this, to be honest. Once he loses, he pretty much flips his lid. He does get emotional, but at the same time, it's different. There's losing the odd game. There's losing 2 games in the space of 6 or whatever, and then there's losing 4 out of your last 5.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, I think he's obviously got over emotional at the time, but at the same time, where he may not try and resign off the back of this result, I think he may try and resign. Obviously, if we lose a couple more matches, his comments on the players always being the same isn't entirely true. Maybe for previous managers, yes, but the last 2 windows we've had a revolving door of departures, which has been a bit mad. And who knows? It will be a case of what happens in the next game that could determine what happens with him. Because if he tries to resign, Levy, understand, if it's like any normal working place, he can't always just say no.
Yeah.
He can just always say no. I think Conte has to hold a bit of corn as well, to be honest. Well, he signed up for this. Do you
He
know what I
did.
mean?
He
Like,
did.
it might have been a bit worse than he expected, but he still signed up for it.
He still signed up for it, man. Exactly.
He knew we wouldn't be fiercely competitive right off the bat. So I think he'd be a coward if he tried to resign before the summer.
I don't think he is. I really don't think he is. Like
Because what does he expect to happen this
between now
quickly?
and then, exactly. I mean, the transfer window's gone. You're not even going to give yourself a chance to even give it a go with a decent transfer window behind you, if we can get it. I mean, I don't know.
Obviously,
I still feel the majority of the media and Spurs fans. I don't know. I still feel like they read the situation a bit wrong. I feel like
okay.
yes, he's an emotional person, and like I said in the group, I just don't think this man likes losing. Even as a manager, as a player, he's always been this kind of way in his nature. So the notion to be able to, and he said it a number of times. He repetitively said it, to lose 4 games out of 5. It's not a normal thing. It's not what he really wanted to come to do at Spurs. I honestly feel it feels like he's more so calling out the players because he wants to rally them, or he wants to get a bit more from them. But it's also like
Is the
calling
way in
out.
which he done that though? Is that going to work? Because I feel
No,
like the most
well, yeah, like
detrimental thing. I think the
knowing.
biggest takeaway for me is the way he went on the players. Like, there was a bit of accountability on his side.
Well,
Like,
yes,
fair play.
there
I thought
is.
that was sincere, but at the same time, he kind of suggested he was laying into the players quite a lot. And I think the comments were, if anything, at detriment to him. They're the most, I guess, potent comments that can affect us in the short term, I think.
Well, yeah, because these are already players who already. I mean, okay, if you look
Has
at
he
the
gone a
if
bit
you look
too
at
far
this,
with the players, do you think?
well, if you look at the City game, you could probably look at that game as an individual game, but generally the players' confidence at the moment doesn't seem to be like particularly high, and to have those comments laid to you after a disappointing loss, in rainy Burnley, the last thing you want to hear is that, well, I come here, I'm paid my money, pretty much what can I do? He probably needs to get like a little bit more from the players, and there has to be an accountability on his side. But again, like it's all about management styles as well. Some players, like under Mourinho, used to be in a situation where they needed to be called out in order to get a tune out of them. And then some players, which I feel is more the modern type of way, is that they just need to be baby. They need to be mothered, and it's difficult because we're already in a situation as a football club where we're asking for so much from these players just on a consistent basis. And the problem I'm feeling is that we're starting to see more and more that we actually can't trust a lot of these players for genuine consistency. Like there's lots of them that we just can't.
Yeah, I think even if you go through the more sympathetic cast members, you can only really count on one hand the amount of players who are relied on
Yeah.
with confidence anyway. But obviously, after those comments, do you think he's trying to get the sack?
No,
Just
I
to
don't.
summarize it.
I don't. I feel like it was an emotional. It was an emotional way to approach the media, and I think he was just speaking from the heart. I feel like he wants to try and get some more from the players. Like all this notion of Spurs broke him or he's sick of this already. I mean, come on. This is why he's at the top level. This is why he gets paid what he gets paid. He's just going to have to make it work until he's able to get his players or the players that he wants.
Mm-hmm.
And Daniel Levy has to stand on that, because if he continues to not, then it's obvious the man just leaves. I mean, no one's begging him to stay. Like he has to just understand that right now we are not in a position, because the transfer window is gone, to change much in the team. So he has to do what he can. And then hopefully by the time the summer comes, then we can make it work. The one thing I kind of do feel as well a little bit is that he's behaving and talking in this way because I almost feel like the club has given him some kind of outside pressure that the club wants top 4. It's imperative we get top 4. And I almost feel like he's almost saying to them, listen, you want me to do this, but you haven't given me the tools to. So it's difficult for you to keep putting this on my neck when you know that I'm trying to do the best job I can. But listen, what you've given me to do it, it's just not possible, you know?
But again, when he sends those messages out, and does that again feed down to the players at detriment to his own job and the squad itself? Because he said he obviously came out in the press conference before the game and addressed the Italian interview he did. Well, he did the interview with Italian media and suggested, like top 4, 1% chance.
Yeah.
All of this, we've weakened our squad on paper. I didn't really read into that latter comment, but that whole obviously it being impossible to be top 4 or 1%. Should he even be doing these interviews? Like, I mean, those comments can't be. They don't serve to help him in any way. And I think we've seen this season that the Italian media is not your friend. Like Lukaku found that out the hard way.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's I don't know. I don't want to say I'm unprofessional, but it just reeks of someone who's extremely temperamental, extremely emotional, and it clear like this is what football does to him. But no,
he might actually be bipolar.
I know it sounds crazy, but then like, come on, man! Like 2 days ago or 3 days ago, we won at City, arguably the best team in Europe, one of the best teams in Europe, and played well against them. And we've come away to what is one of the bottom 3 sides in the league, and we've not played well at all. Like it's very easy to be kind of like, what's the word I want to use? I'm not jumpy, but like to be up and down, or tumultuous in like how you feel about the team and the players. But then again, like you said, I feel like the nature in which he spoke and the way he's been speaking in the media, it doesn't help.
He was so rattled.
It doesn't help him at all, Like not even just the words, but you look at his body, like language, his mannerisms, put his hands in his pockets, huffing and puffing. Like it certainly didn't read well. And I don't want to use the word unprofessional, but I mean, I can understand why if anyone in the board at Tottenham looked at that, they would think we may have an issue here. I mean, words definitely need to be had. I almost still feel it's more of a rallying call. He's trying to get more out of the players, but also semi reminding the board that, hey, listen, you want me to do my job? You're going to have to cough up when it matters.
Yeah, for sure. Because I don't think there's any way Levy... I think he'll do everything he can to try and keep him because there will be blood and people on the streets.
Yeah.
If Conte was to leave, whether he be sacked or resigned...
It will be even worse for Levy if he can ever get a situation whereby Conte resigns or he leaves or XYZ, having not even had a full year or full season at the club. The fans will it'll be ugly.
Yeah, because I don't think... I mean, following the Pochettino, Mourinho and Nuno sackings, I think we literally cannot afford to sack him, no matter how much he kicks and screams. And we can't let him resign either. Like, you can try and hand it in, but Levy could, like, with the resolve he showed with the whole Kane saga in the summer, like, he just can't let him leave. He signed his contract. He's got the option of the other year. He can resign then, but after 18 months, within the 18 months, he's gonna have to hold it at the very, very least until the summer, and then we'll have to see on what agreements or disagreements he has with Paratici. But again, that's for another time. As for the short term, obviously we have got another game coming up soon.
Yeah.
Potentially favourable, even though they absolutely overran us. last season at their ground, being Leeds. Just for the short term, after those comments from Conte, like, where can he actually go from here? Is there anything he can do, small tweaks to his system that he can do to help us? Because I saw a lot of the reactive takes from Spurs Twitter yesterday were calling for him to just go straight to four at the back. Just go straight to four at the back. I saw a lot of fans calling for Lucas Moura to start at the 10.
Fucking ridiculous.
Insane.
People need to get in the bin, man. Like,
do you think he has to make any tweaks
no,
or changes, or?
No, I'm sorry. I just find it ridiculous. I find it ridiculous because let's be honest. Let's be honest. Pep came to Man City. Did he adapt any of his tactical sort of like,
on his terms?
Did Arteta after however long at Arsenal, did he change any of his philosophies? Did Klopp, when he came from Dortmund to Liverpool, change any of? Like, I just don't understand. This is a man who has actually won playing this way. I mean, it's clear that yes, fine. Whilst he's not particularly adaptable, he has played and won consistently the way he has done so. So why are people suddenly saying, "Oh, because he's not got the players for it"? Like, do people really want to see Emerson in a back four? Do you really want to see Højbjerg in the middle, in like a middle two? Like, honestly, do you want to see Lucas on the wing? You absolutely do not. I promise you, you absolutely do not. So this notion, change it because no, last time we actually had a manager who had a philosophy and he didn't even have the fucking balls to stick to it. Look at where it got him. It got him the sack. Fucking Nuno. No, again, I'm not hearing it. I'm not hearing it. We've got Dyer playing well. We've got Romero playing well. We've got Bentancur. No, I just feel it doesn't make any sense for him to suddenly, all those years of playing and doing well at this level, to suddenly just disband his philosophy because Emerson Royale can't play in a back fucking five, or Højbjerg can't play in the middle. Come on, man, get a grip, man.
I've been thinking about Romero recently, and obviously he's world class. And he's looking to be he's on the precipice of world class. I'd say he's got a high ceiling, I feel, but
he's a top
he's been caught. I think he's been caught out recently, especially against teams who are good at crossing. So Southampton, maybe not so much against Wolves because those were just cataclysmic errors, right? But again, against Burnley, I put it down to him having to play with Sanchez at first, but it looks to be a bit suspect from crosses, so obviously I have to keep an eye on that. But I guess none of our centre backs are ever going to be perfect.
No.
So obviously coming into the Leeds game, would you make any tweaks to the lineup, if not the system? Obviously, you didn't make a change to the system, and are you confident? Obviously, Leeds are a team that will come onto us in a similar way to Leicester and Man City. So
they're in.
What are your feelings, sir?
Bad form. They've not won in 6 or 7, I think. Last 5 is 4 losses, 1 draw. They were pretty fucking awful last night against Liverpool. 6-0 loss away from home.
I forgot about that. I thought the last game was United.
Yeah, they got beat pretty badly. 6-0. This sort of game, as we know, Bielsa is chaotic, and I feel like, if anything, we should lean into that nature. So try get players who we know can get them in transition. So Son, maybe get Lucas in there. Definitely get Reguilon in there. They almost like chaos ball, the up and down in a football match, almost like a basketball match. Højbjerg seems to perform adequately in these type of games as well.
Yeah,
where energy is quite high. So a few tweaks here and there with the team, but definitely I'd like to see Lucas maybe start.
You want to see Lucas start?
Well, because this is
No
the sort
way.
of game. This is the sort of game that he would kind of.
Do you remember how much he drowned in the game early on in the season?
Yeah, to be fair, he did actually.
It was horrendous.
You know what? I'm really liking Kulusevski at the moment. Like, Yes, he was quiet,
Yes.
but do you know what? What am I even saying? No, Kulusevski's got to start. You've got to get Lucas on earlier though, and get him playing in in that sort of wing or centralish area where he kind of is good at transitioning the ball. But I'm liking Kulusevski at the moment. But these games against Leeds, they're just so chaotic. It just annoys me, like, because there's no control. Even watching the United game on Sunday, or was it Sunday? It's just end-to-end stuff. And by the time they basically gassed out, United just took 2 chances towards the end of the match and won the game. So I think we'll win. I honestly do. I know it's 12:30, and Leeds, whilst they get up for it at Ellen Road, I just feel like these sort of open games that are a bit more open, they kind of suit us as well, in my opinion. So
They do. I agree with that. See, when we had the reverse fixture, away at Leeds last year,
yeah,
and Mace was in charge, he just tried to set us up to be overran. Shout out to you, Gajita. Yeah, it is the hope that kills you. Just as we make a predictions for a favourable game, thank you for that. I think obviously I'd keep the same system as well. I definitely don't want to see Lucas Moura start though. I think Kulusevski, one of our livelier players, he definitely has to start. But for me, I really liked his cameo at right wing back against Burnley. So with that said, I'd probably bring in a player who has had good games against Leeds before. I'd bring him in at right wing in Bergwijn.
okay,
And actually have another smart attacker in there. And hopefully we can... because if Leeds just set up to do the man-to-man aggressive pressing style and just shuffle us over to our own right-hand side, they're just gonna choke us. That blueprint, as well as just trying to shut Kane out of the game, it's just there.
Well, that's it, isn't it?
We saw Southampton, Wolves, and Burnley do it now. That has to change. Something on the right-hand side has to change.
Yeah.
Gajita talking about Sonny's awful performance just
Good old Sonny,
we kind of touched upon
Good old Sonny.
with his only moment in the game.
Purple
didn't pass
patch
it
baby,
to Kane.
man. Fuck that guy sometimes, man. Honestly, man. Guy just turns up whenever he wants to these days, man. There's no level of consistency with that guy, man. One day he's decent, the other day you don't even see him, man. He's just...
He definitely starts versus Leeds, though. For me as well, he still starts versus Leeds. Yeah, I'd have Bergwijn and Son. Probably end up interchanging sides in the end because Bergwijn's obviously better off the left. He's a smart player. I liked what I saw of him live in the flesh at West Ham. Obviously, he had the brace against Leicester, so I think he comes in. Kulusevski goes right wing back and just kind of helps with the ball retention side of it on the right hand side. He might not be the best or as good as Emerson defensively, but we've got to change. We've got to change something. Other than that, Reguilon has to come in.
He's got to come in because why would he travel and not play yesterday?
I don't know. That was a sketchy one. This is what I was thinking with Conte. I was thinking he might have been thinking to bring him on when it was 0-0, and then when it went 1-0, he just thought he'd bring on someone he sees as a striker in Bergwijn. But that would be my only thought process as to that. That would be my best guess, anyway. I don't even know if he was questioned about that in the press conference. Actually, I
don't think he was. I looked at the transcript.
That press conference was a bit too chaotic to get a Reguilon question in, but I think sure he has to start.
There definitely has to be some change. Definitely has to be some change with regards to the personnel. I was looking on Twitter today, and I came across. Well, shout out to the Extra Inch, Bardi, Nathan, and Windy. Always listen to their stuff. There was a spreadsheet that I saw that was that came out that said something about Conte's players not performing well or Conte's team's not performing well when they've had more or less than 5 days rest. And the likelihood of winning games when we've had more than 5 days rest is pretty much very close to 3 points at like 2.7
I've
points per
noticed
game.
that, especially Kane and Son's performances seem to
yeah.
shoot right up after they've had a rest.
But then
Højbjerg to an extent as well. Yeah, generally the rest.
But in games when we haven't had 5 days, or we've had under 5 days sort of prep, our average points per game is like 1.2. And that's been the case with 3 of the Chelsea games, Saints away, Wolves away, Burnley away. And even as well, I've even found stats that show that even going further back, even at Inter, it was about 2.6 if they had 2.6 points per game if they had more than 5 days rest, to just over 2 when they've had less. So, I mean, definitely the prep time. I mean, obviously as well, physically the prep time is also good, but it also feels like the prep time for like the team and the management to get the guys ready, even like maybe tactically, always helps. And maybe that's why Conte was such a good manager when Inter came out of the Champions League and they went on their crazy run to win the league, or when he was at Chelsea as well, when they didn't have Europe. And it does put us in a situation because obviously we're trying to get into Europe, and hopefully once we've had all these games in hand have played, maybe we might get a bit of a run on towards the end of the season, when the players will have the routine schedule of like 1 game a week to end the season.
Yeah, I mean, that was an advantage we were hoping to capitalize on, obviously having to forfeit our place in the Conference League.
Yeah.
So we're still in the FA Cup as well. But
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got to capitalize on that, surely. Just looking at our fixtures, obviously we've got Leeds on Saturday, so obviously the day of audio release. So if you're listening to this on the day, then obviously later today is the game. Then we've got Middlesbrough 5 days later, and then 6 days later we're at home to Everton.
Yeah, on
And
the
then
Monday night.
5 days later we're playing Man United away. So yeah, crucial set of games.
Crucial games
coming up for sure. Obviously, if we were to I don't even want to think about it. If we were to somehow lose to Leeds at this point and then lose to Middlesbrough, then
could be curtains.
Yeah, we may have to change our Twitter account header, up Antonio. But yeah, going for the Leeds game as well. In terms of the midfield lineup, yeah, I hope Bentancur isn't injuring. He just he isn't too injured.
Yeah,
Got taken off just as a precaution. Obviously, he did the splits quite badly, but yeah, he didn't look too bad after the incident. And again, hope it was just a precaution / rest.
Mm-hmm.
As I think his style really he would be my first choice with Højbjerg to start in centre midfield.
Yeah, he's been a real like fresh sort of injection into the team. To be honest, I really enjoyed watching.
That's if Skip's still injured as well. But yeah, Bentancur has been so crucial to us recently.
He's been great. He's been good. He's a nice little signing, nice little technician to start with. I mean, he definitely looks like an improvement on what we have, and he's just started his time at Spurs, so it's kind of positive.
Just to touch upon him as well with Bentancur, is he a significant improvement to our midfield, or is it just a case of us just? Well, I was pretty much going to ask the same question. Are we just that devoid of quality? We're making out Bentancur to be better than he is, or is
I wouldn't say
is he actually a top quality midfielder?
He's no. I mean, he's an improvement in the sense that he's a better technician than maybe some of the guys.
I think he's got a better footballing brain as well.
Yeah.
He's got his own picture in his head as soon as he receives the ball. He's got his own signature move, which you see already. His little drag back, which he uses just to find a little pocket of space and get his head up to play balls. He plays He's got a good range of passing, a good
Yeah.
execution of passing as well. I feel like he has to be mainstay in the team from now until obviously the end of the season.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
obviously he does favour obviously teams coming onto us as well. So yeah, I think he's a top midfielder. I'm just not sure. I'm still not sure yet, even though he's a definite improvement on what we have. If he's the top 4 quality mid, but we'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see.
I mean, yeah, there's definitely like more. There's definitely more tape to be watched on him. But he has started his time at Spurs, I'd say, fairly well.
I really want to see him and Skip. I really want to see him
Do
and
you know
Skip.
what? One of the things I really like about him, I like how tenacious he is. He doesn't mind a tackle. He doesn't mind, putting a foot in. He doesn't mind even sometimes getting a yellow if it means just stopping an attack, which I kind of feel like we've had players who are just a bit brainless when it comes to that sort of side of the game. Whereas I feel like, I mean, he's very, very much this kind of tackle that he has on lock is this sort of jockey sort of this jockey sort of tackle, where he kind of like gets his legs tangled in yours to try to take the ball from you, as opposed to fully sliding in or committing himself in that way. And then he's quite mobile immediately afterwards as well, which I kind of like.
He does read the game quite well as well, I've got to say. From what I can see of him, he tends to position himself in the right places at the right times more often than not, which is more than can be said from a Viking this season anyway. But just to summarize that Leeds preview, then what would you have as a score prediction?
2-1 or 3-1. I think Tottenham. I think we definitely concede because Leeds are a scoring team. It's funny though, like they don't have Bamford seems to have his injury problems, but they seem to still get goals. Like James is a problem at the moment. Rafinha pops up from here and there.
I
So
like Geldhart a lot.
yeah, Gerhardt, he's a nice player as well. And obviously Harrison. Is it Jack Harrison? Yeah, he's always popping up with goals as well.
He got a
So,
hat trick against away to West Ham. I
yeah,
believe it
so
was him anyway.
I mean, they're a goal scoring team, but I feel like just because of the chaos, I feel like it probably suits our game better. So I'm going to say 2 or 3-1. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to steal that as well. I think if we go with the lineup, as I mentioned earlier, I think we could run out 3-1 or maybe even 3-2 winners again. I would say I'd like us to continue with the 3 at the back again, try and make up the numbers in midfield with Romero pushing on and then Kane dropping deeper with potentially runners beyond. Obviously,
Yeah.
we'll have hopefully the regular on Kulusevski and in my mind, Bergwijn and Son running off him, and who knows. On to Spurs, and like you were saying earlier when you were touching upon other managers who stuck to their guns, I'll say, well, trust the process.
Yeah, we're just going to have to at this point.
Trust the process.
We're just going to have to.
We're
just going to have to. This is going to be it's going to be like I've said it on another pod before, but I just feel like we are as a club as well and a team, we're in a bit of a transition. I just feel like right now it kind of feels like early Poch sort of time where we're still trying to find the way we want to play. We've still got players who are trying to get out and we're kind of inconsistent in our form. And I just feel like we just need another window to kind of refresh, bring in more quality, remove some of the rubbish. And then we would have had a decent preseason where we know that, okay, this is how he wants to play. This is how he wants us to operate. And then I think it will soon click. It will. It's just now the inconsistency must be so frustrating for him as well. Like knowing kind of manager he is, how much of a competitor he is as well. But also, he can't shirk away from the responsibility. This is you're the coach at Spurs. You've got to take on this responsibility and deal that we're not going to win every game. We're just not at this point,
Fair play. No, you're right. And I guess that summarizes our pod. Thank you, Booker T, for joining us on this fine evening.
Thank
Hopefully,
you.
the
Thank
second
you. Thank
half
you.
of this evening's game, which we're currently watching, goes as well as the first half for us because we need our ops to trip themselves up.
Always, brother. Always, always, always.
Otherwise, yeah, we're fucked. We'll see. Keep an eye out for our streams, which happen most Thursdays. We record every Thursday. The audio form comes out every Saturday. Keep a lookout for that. And obviously, we've got the Touchline 5 games now, which are in full swing. So if you want to get involved, hit up the new Spurs Order account. Hit up Tops on Twitter as well. I believe he recruits some of the players. I'm gonna have to try and get involved myself, even though I've got a little bit of a distance to travel. But yeah, who knows? Obviously, dark times for us right now. But yeah, like we see earlier, trust the
Dark
process.
times never last long, man. Dark times
Question
never
mark
last long,
next to
brother.
it.
We'll be good, man. We'll be fine.
All right. With that said, again, shout out Gajita in the comments as well tonight. And
Yeah, big shouts.
again, man, just keep an eye out for us. That's for now. New Spurs Order out. Peace.
Peace.